Hi, friend. I hope you're well. I hope that this finds you balanced in amidst all the challenges that are coming up, and that you're finding some ease and grace in amidst it. So, I wanted to put this together thinking of you, and I trust that it helps. The why of what I'm kind of walking you through, all of it, is just that the more you understand, the easier it's going to be ultimately to be effective and helpful. And I know that generally the intention to be helpful is everything, but a little bit of knowledge can go a long way. A big part of the why is gut health. We know now how much our microbiome plays in the health of the general organism and well-being. Overall well-being is exponentially greater when our gut health is well. And sometimes that's a byproduct of what we're eating, but it can also be a byproduct of digestion. And there's some simple things that we can do hands-on that will influence how the nervous systems are communicating. You may not know this, but there's almost 3 times as many neural fibers going from the gut to the brain as there are going the opposite direction. And the vagus nerve is a big part of that. It's both a sensory and a motor nerve, so it sends signals out from the nervous system, but it also receives information back. And actually what the vagal nerve does, it's one of the cranial nerves, cranial nerve number 10. It's valuable. I mean, its value to relaxation and our general health and well-being, especially in a culture that's so stressed and overstimulated, it can't be prescribed a value to. It governs a lot of the parasympathetic functions in the body, which are the rest and digest functions. That's like the reproductive functions. When we're not being chased by a bear, we have the ability to pause, and blood can go to places that it isn't normally available when we're running from said bear. So I thought it important to give some of the lay of the land. So forgive me if this is tedious. The techniques are just a little bit down the way, but I thought that we should walk quickly through just where things are. It's helpful for you to breathe. You can play with your breath. I find that a 1-to-1 breath ratio is super helpful. 4-count inhale, 4-count exhale. That'll allow you to just kind of manage your own experience and remain like a little bit insular from them while still staying present with them. If I may, I would like to encourage you to stay soft, to be a counterpart for the person that you're working with. You want to encourage them by reminding them that they know what to do. They know how to stay and move towards greater health. You're just a mechanism for them to kind of lean against, and as a almost external reminder of, oh yeah, right, there's more space there than I currently am allowing. What can I do about that? It's very little that you need to do so much as just be present. That's the biggest part of this. So be present. There's 2 places that roadblocks happen in the digestive process, that the most prominent ones that we can do something about. Certainly we can encourage general peristalsis or encourage elimination. And this can be done for a baby that's newborn. This can be done for a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old or a geriatric patient. All the way through. Anybody appreciates touch. And then on top of that, intentional touch with some knowledge behind it can be a real gift and boon for that person's healing process or just process. We have my right hip point, my left hip point. This is the ASIS, right? And navel. The ribs come together at the xiphoid process. You can don't even try to feel it there. Just know that it's there. It's about 1.5 inches of just continuation of the rib cage. Liver's over here, spleen's over here, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon. Further on the outside
And then the small intestine is kind of here.
So the stomach's in the middle, you've got the liver on the right, the spleen way over on the left, and then just past the stomach, you've got what's called the duodenum. The duodenum is about a 12 centimeter stretch of tissue where a lot of the bile and digestive juices are churned with the bigger materials as we make them smaller. Most of your nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine, which comes after the duodenum, and that is about 21 feet, I think. So between the duodenum and the small intestine, which is kind of in line with your clavicle and your ASIS, right? So if you draw a line down, about 2 to 3 inches below the nipple line, sort of on a man, you're gonna find this junction. It's the size or shape of a quarter or a nickel. And especially when it's hard or dense, that's when you know that this is something that might not be functioning as to its best ability. The other one is sort of mid-nipple, mid-collarbone as well, and then tracks down. Another way to track this is the right hip and the navel. It's about 2 to 3 centimeters in that straight line where it meets the mid-clavicle. So that's the ileocecal valve, and that's the transition from the small intestine to the large intestine. We want a bolster under the knees and one under the head. The idea just being that we want to accordion the body in a little bit and relax some of the tone in the abdomen so that we can get our pressure or our presence a little bit deeper into their core.
The first thing to get them to do is diaphragmatic breath. Certainly you can't do this with everyone, but the focal being that if the left hand is on the chest and the right hand is on the belly, you want to focus their breath on the belly. So as much as is possible, the chest stays still and it's just the rising and falling of the abdomen. It's about 2.5 inches in and it's in line with the middle of the clavicle. I'm allowing my right hand to just sink in. As I settle, my hand starts to take on the shape of the abdomen. Some of that is that layer of fatty tissue, but my intention is to get below that, to sink down and really engage with the underlying tissue. As I do that, I may find again that shape and size of a nickel or a quarter. That's the ileocecal valve, and usually if it's stopped up, it's going to feel quite dense. Now, gentle pressing into it and releasing very subtly I'm going to own, this is a practice that I've done for over a decade. It's not easy to sense this stuff very quickly, but it does come with time. Now, I'm not moving my hand so much as I'm moving my shoulder, which moves my elbow, which moves my arm. You can think of this as I'm trying to induce the movement where my hand is. If I leave this hand soft, it's soft so that it can sense and feel and interpret information. I can initiate the motion from somewhere else, and I can feel actually it's starting to sort of percolate. Sometimes you'll actually hear sounds. This is called borborygmus. It's just the sounds of the valves releasing, fluids engaging. Sometimes it's the nervous system softening and moving from a sympathetic state, which is fight or flight, into a more relaxed state. I take a big breath in and I release. Now I move to the DJ junction. That's what I'm going to call this spot here. ASIS in just a little bit and up in line with the clavicle. This is that spot between the stomach and the small intestine. If I can, I'm doing this on myself, so I'm resting my forearm on my body. If you're doing it for somebody else, again, try to rest your arm on their body. That contact is going to be helpful to a degree, and it's also important for you to stay relaxed through your shoulder. Once I've got depth, again, I'm just going to test for which way it's going. You can't really do too much harm here. As soft as you think it is, I'm going to encourage you to soften 5 times more. Moving from the shoulder or the elbow, just try to encourage that motion in a clockwise direction. Clockwise means the valve is moving and allowing things to move. We started with the ileocecal valve because that's where things get jammed up first, which causes a backlog. So we want to free that so things start moving, and then we're just encouraging them in that direction. Big breath in, and my right hand becomes almost like a sun. I want to move it around the orbit of the small intestine and the digestive process. So it's the same concept with sun and the moon. My right hand stays doing full circles. Remember that everything's leaving down here at the left. So the goal is to encourage things out towards the down and left. As I move through that, my other hand can come in and encourage that, creating almost like a little pressurized system in between the two. I'm almost picking up my small intestine and wringing it. As I do this motion is very natural in that the right hand stays moving, the left hand is kind of receiving its guidance from the right. And as I encourage that, I can actually get down here to the sigmoid colon, and remember, I always want to be moving down and out. So I can create smaller orbits where my pressure is less towards the midline and more towards the out. You'll notice that the hip point tracks to the pubic bone. This is the inguinal line. I should be up and above that. You don't want to go too deep here, but just a gentle massage and encouragement towards down and out will be very friendly. A little bit of this, come back to the sun and the moon. And then again, a little bit of this. You can move further up, because remember, we're starting furthest away and then coming back up. And then again. I like to use a medium, a lubricant here. Usually I'll use sesame oil. It's kind of the safest. It's hypoallergenic. I found this that I love. Milk Makeup has created like a lot of, they're an entirely vegan brand, and I think it's just, we need to be more sustainable in the future outcomes that are sort of being thrust upon us. This is a CBD and arnica body solid that I will just sort of roll on in the area, create a little bit easier passage for my hand. There's really, again, no bad way you can do this. You can't get this wrong. Again, your intention is everything. You're there to help this person, to help support them. This is amazing for folks in homes, geriatric or whatnot, who as our body ages, we have a harder time processing through things. Again, when you're coming out of this, try to encourage them to have a bigger inhale through the abdomen. And then just at the peak of the inhale, and encouraging the diaphragmatic breath, which is the chest stays still, the exhale happens rising and falling through the belly. Inhale, and exhale. You can have them inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth.
I trust that this is going to help, and that's huge that you do too. I really appreciate being asked, and I'm just so honored. I know that you're doing great work, and that this is hard work. Be kind to yourself. You know, like, there's no water you can draw from a dry well. You need to be able to stay present with yourself and available, and sometimes that means boundaries. Boundaries actually generate a lot of energy, but you have to enforce them. And so be kind with your breath, be kind with your body, be kind with the body that's with you, and really do stay present, stay soft in your hands. It's not about you making something happen so much as you providing a juxtaposition for them, their own organism, to generate change. They know that they're capable, they know that there's more space in there. It's simply just a matter of being present with it. So I'm with you, I trust that the highest possible outcomes are finding you, and that they're doing so with a little bit of grace, a little bit of space in amidst all the haste and the bustle. Yeah, so much love and blessings. My name's Ramesh, and if you've made it this far, congratulations and thank you. It's my dream that this information is valuable to you, and if you found it to be so, it would mean a great deal for you to click on the like button, to click on the subscribe button, to use the comments as a vehicle for sharing what you'd like to know more about. I am fascinated by the places that human potential, science, and spirit intersect. So if that's of interest to you, then chances are we have a lot to talk about, and I look forward to sharing so much with you. Many blessings, be kind to one another, and I'll see you in the next video.